And as far as code samples, the last thing I want to mention is a repeat, but I think it's a good one to remind people that's out there is the demo that we have for the Sprint Instinct widget library. It's a really short and simple sort of hello world type demo that explains all the different widgets and components and shows you visually what they look like. And as well, it takes the simplistic approach of showing you, not trying to confuse you with anything that's flashy or cool, but taking the most simplistic approach to showing you how to use each widget. And it's really, if you haven't done any Instinct widget library work, it's really good to grab this, stick it on the phone or run it on the emulator, and just to sort of browse through and see, well, what does a slide switch look like, and sort of visually see what they look like, the different colors, how images can go on them, and things like that. With that, I'll turn it over to Nathan, and I'll encourage anyone. I've been seeing that there's a lot of questions coming through on the chat room. I encourage anyone else that has questions about what I've covered or any other topics to continue to send those questions into us. So Nathan, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Ryan. So this is Nathan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover in the last couple of slides some questions we get around app distribution and how do developers work with sprints. And I've seen quite a few questions posted on BuzzBot Sprint users and also our own message forums. So what we wanted to do is talk about the 3 different options developers have if they actually create an app to run on the Instinct, the S30, or any Java device Sprint has. So the 3 options are, if you want to actually submit your app into Sprint and have it distributed through our content catalog, what we call our vending machine, and then enable billing on behalf of, there is a preferred partner that we do direct our request to. They are called WDA, or Wireless Developer Agency. And we actually have provided their contact information here. The contact is Connie Zygo. We put their phone number and also their email. They do manage all the business aspects, so they're the company that would actually look at your app and then discuss the policy. And then if it meets terms and conditions, then they would actually submit that on your behalf into Sprint. For consideration, if you want to distribute the app yourself, then by all means, Java, mobile Java, our handsets are open from a distribution perspective. Configure your web server up, load your jar and jet files, and you're in business. The last option is if you want to consider there are plenty of other third-party catalogs out there that do support open Java catalogs. One to highlight is GitJar. So like I said, there are plenty of other ones out there. So those are the 3 options that we wanted to highlight that developers have if they want to create an app and submit it or to distribute it. The last thing we want to touch on is a couple of programs Sprint has, and if you wanted to take advantage of those programs, you can as well. The first is called the Professional Developer Program, and so what this program is, it is a pay-for support program where developers can apply to join. There is a $5,000 a year fee. In that program, developers do get access to certain core capabilities, such as access to enhanced level technical support. So again, if you're trying to, port your app from across Instinct platform to maybe another Java platform, to an item-based handset, or to Windows Mobile, or all the software platforms that Sprint has, this is a program that will provide enhanced level of technical support. The other thing we do is we do provide certification. So we actually will take your application and content and certify it in the same manner that we do apply for content that is distributed through the Sprint vending machine. And then you actually will get a Sprint compatible logo that you can actually use with your content. The last thing we actually do provide access to Sprints. We actually will sign up with the Sprint production code signature. Obviously, with the Samsung S30 and the Instinct supporting open access to the core API, that isn't as relevant. However, if you are developing on our legacy handsets, where the APIs are still restricted from a production perspective, and you want to be able to get access to those open APIs, then we will do production code signing through this program. The last program to highlight is a new program we launched roughly earlier this year. It's called the Platform Enabler Program. And what they are, these are partners we have signed contracts with. we actually aggregate and provide out certain core capabilities such as location-based services. So a lot of times people come to Sprint and want to know, how can I get access to location-based services, whether it's through the handset, it's through the browser, or whether it's through server-originated location requests. And so we have, like I said, partnered with three public partners at this point. And again, all this information on the Professional Developer Program and the Platform Enabler Program can be found on the Sprint ADP website in the Working with Sprint tab. The last thing to highlight here is just how do you stay in touch? So the first, the primary method is through our developer website, developer.sprint.com, where we provide all of our development resources, such as what Jay covered earlier, our SDK, the sample apps that Ryan has talked about, all of device specs, and et cetera. Also our message forum board. So for the Samsung Instinct, we do have a dedicated message forum board that we do monitor very closely there. Another thing that we've done is we've launched a Twitter page. So we're, I guess we're tweeting away with the rest of the world. So join us on our Twitter page and follow us. And as we post updates on the ADP website with either new sample apps, developer white papers, device specifications, etc., we do post those updates on our Twitter page as well. The last thing is we will be an exhibitor at JavaOne. So if you are in the Bay Area or if you are coming to JavaOne, we will be an exhibitor fairly close to the Mobility Village. And within our booth, we'll actually be doing a variety of, we'll be doing presentations on a variety of topics. Some of those topics will cover what we covered today, developing for the Samsung S30, but we'll also have topics on Titan and OSGI, developing for that, best practices, and developing for IDEN and Nextel and Boost devices. We'll also be covering how to use Sprint services, so we've got some pretty exciting announcements. But we hope you're making it around the JavaOne timeframe on how to use Sprint services there. So like I said, we'd love for you to come by and talk to us in person and hear our presentation as well. And then we will be staying online with the moderated chat for roughly another 10 minutes or so. So again, if you do have questions, we would love for you to go and submit the questions in. And are there any questions? So the other thing we do is we'll actually maybe cover some of the key topics that have been covered, just to make sure that they were covered. And then again, if you have any other questions, feel free to submit them into the chat room. So we did have a couple questions around content production on the handset. So I wanted to talk a little about that because sometimes you can't really explain it very well in chat. But we had some questions around OMA DRM, 1.0 and 2.0, and also forward lock. So Sprint doesn't support or have an OMA DRM client on the handset that enforces that. Instead, what we do is when your Java content is actually downloaded to the Sprint devices, such as the Instinct S30 or the Instinct, it's actually downloaded into a hidden restricted file folder that isn't publicly available. So in the past, there have been some instances where those files have been downloaded to a public file folder, and you could use things like BitPim or things like that to actually go in and pull the files from the file structures. But we have restricted access to programs like BitPim and those things actually can't go into the file structures and find these files. The other thing is when the files are downloaded to the handsets, they cannot be forwarded off the handsets via Bluetooth or moved to an SD card or other manners. So in essence, they are forward locked. So hopefully that answers that set of questions there. We did have some other questions here. Okay, so here, why are we still following the closed garden? So I'm reading a question somebody was reading to me. So, Jay, so why don't you read me the question, and maybe while you're reading it, I'll actually try and sit there and think of it.
Listen, there's a question that says, why are we still following the closed garden approach for access to JSONs or APIs, so the way things work on Sprint devices in the past?